Like, they in-house this AI technology and they decide to pay you lower wages. That's a company issue. That's not an AI issue. What's up, guys? This is part 2 of a 2-part series. If you guys want to see the first part, click right here. This part is just going to be the other half of the video. I couldn't really post because it would have been as long as the episode of Game of Thrones. I'm not trying to have you guys here for that long. I respect you guys' time, so I'm not going to be putting out hour-long breakdown videos. Shit is boring. So, you know, it might not be for some, but I know for, you know, the majority of people who actually watch me, I know that shit will be kind of taxing. So I respect you guys' time. So for me personally, I just want to make a disclaimer. These are my opinions, and this is how I feel about it. It doesn't mean it's everybody else's opinion, but I have a lot of people agree on me on this aspect because I talk to a lot of artists. That's the reason why I'm talking so confidently about this. I know how we think. Now, there's going to be some that think differently. That happens. But for the most part, this is the majority of what artists and animators actually think about this situation. So come in at your leisure. If you disagree, fine. If you agree, let me know in the comment section. If you disagree, let me know in the comment section. I'm open. So, you know, let's get into this.
Group of people with little to no taste. In the coming years, it will only become more passable, and passable, as we've seen time and again from the VFX.
How long we got, man?
Every recent Marvel thing
God
is
damn.
the only real standard that any of these massive media companies shoot for. So long as they can sell the end product to someone, they don't really give a fuck how good it is. So if all the overworked, underpaid animators under one of those brands were to, say, organize and strike for better wages and conditions, it's not hard to imagine a scenario where Disney or Nick hires on a handful of AI technicians to assist whatever animator scabs they can scrounge up just to keep the content coming and satiate as many streaming subscribers or cable viewers as possible. Maybe it won't be enough to keep the whole audience happy and break the strike completely, but it could substantially weaken the bargaining position of the strikers and force them to accept a worse deal than they'd otherwise get. And in the hypothetical event of an industry-wide strike, companies with their own in-house animation AI would have a huge advantage over those without. Disney, Warner Bros., or, say, Sony-owned anime studios would be able to keep bringing in at least some revenue while their competitors are starving. And given their collective market share, there wouldn't be an industry-wide deal for any hypothetical union without those big companies say so. So they could just keep the strike going as long as it's hurting the competition more than that. Labor standards in animation are already terrible, and AI presents a serious roadblock to them ever getting better. And that's
not a technology issue, that's a company issue. It's a company issue. Naughty Dog back in the day were overworking the fuck out of their employees. There was a whole thing about it. This is not a tech issue. AI is not the issue. It's a company issue. How your company operates. It's the practices that these animation studios take. They are pro crunch. They are pro stay over. They are pro if you like your job, if you like what you do, we expect you to go above and beyond for the company for minimum wages. We want you to do this because you're an artist and you love doing what you do. This is artists need to learn how to respect themselves or needing to learn how to be respected and how to get it. This is not an AI issue. Art has been being disrespected since the dawn of time. This is what happens. That's why I'm pro-independence. I'm not pro-working for a company. You can easily fix this issue by not working for a company. I can't relate. I can't relate to this at all. I really can't. It's a company thing. I would never have a company telling me, oh, you better work over or else we're going to find somebody else that wants to do it. Oh, we got this new technology that can quote unquote replace you. So, you know, you better watch out. Fine, I'm leaving. Bye. I can do this myself. And now since I got the tools to do it myself, oh, you better believe it. I'm going to put it on YouTube. I'm going to create my own animation studio. That's what I do. That's why I believe that all people need to start doing, all artists need to start doing this. If you have a problem with how the industry is treating you, leave. You need to learn how to leave. Stop taking abuse. Get the fuck out of there and do it yourself. You have the skill. They need you. This shouldn't be an issue. None of this shit is an issue for me. I'm self-sufficient.
Short-term threat. As this technology improves, it won't be long before studios start automating or semi-automating a lot of the grunt work of the animation process, like in-betweens and the background art, to save time and money on every production where they can. Which will make it harder and harder for new artists and animators to come up and hone their skills, because those jobs are the ones that give many of them their start in the industry. This isn't just a hypothetical scenario. We're already seeing...
Okay, so let me just put this out here too. All right? This is probably going to hurt a lot of people's feelings, but I just got to be honest though. There are too many worker bees in my industry, and there are too many people who I get that having a dream and wanting to work at Disney, Pixar, and all these other type of shit like that is actually fascinating. I used to have a dream to work at 6 different companies back in the day. I used to want to work at like the animation studio that did Violet Evergarden. I used to want to work at the studio who did Madhouse. I wanted to work for Madhouse. I wanted to work for a lot of different companies. But I realized this too about myself. I realized this. I'm not in control. I'm the type of person that likes being in control and controlling my destiny, especially when it comes to making money, especially when it comes to profits, especially when it comes to my skill and my worth. I want to be treated fairly. And I am uncompromising when it comes to that. I believe a lot more people needs to do that. Now, if you work for a company, if you sign on that dotted line, you're at their beck and call. You're at their mercy. So if they come up with this new technology, if they in-house it, right? Like if they in-house this AI technology and they decide to pay you lower wages, that's a company issue. That's not an AI issue. That's a company issue. Just because a doctor, right, just because a surgeon has a new machine introduced to him when it comes to making surgeries easier, and he doesn't have to eyeball it or do hand coordination himself to get the job done, he could just let the machine use it. If somebody decides to cut his pay because that machine exists, that's the person who's cutting his pay fault. That's not the machine's fault. The machine's doing its job. It exists to make his job easier. But his job is still just as important. Become self-sufficient. Do it by yourself. Start posting. Start connecting with communities in the art field. Start connecting with like-minded people who do what you do. You won't have to worry about this shit at all when it comes to the payment stuff. Because that's the one thing that I was hearing people was disagreeing with me with in the comment section. They'll be like, yo, what? Later on down the line, it's probably going to cut artists pay and shit like that. I'm like, okay, that's neither here or there. But if that does happen, that's a company issue, not the tool's fault. If a company want to cut your pay because they found an easier way to do shit to make their products come out faster, that's their issue. That's a personal problem. But for you to know your worth, and if your pay gets cut, you like, oh, so you think I'm less valuable now? Okay, fuck you, I'm out of here. I'll leave. I'll do this myself. Now, I know a lot of people can't do that, but that's why I'm trying to put that in your head right now to start to be self-sufficient. You don't have to leave right now, but start planning. What would happen if this job let me go today? What would I do? Where would I go? Would I still be as valuable? Would I still be able to do what I'm supposed to do? And if your answer is no, you're living the wrong way. I'm just being honest. This shouldn't affect anybody. And the reason why it does is because people don't have plans if they become obsolete to a company that gauges their importance in their field. This is not scary to me at all. Matter of fact, I welcome it with open arms. Please come, help me out. I'm an independent company. I would love to use these tools. The only people that this is hurting is people like him and people who have no other plans when people who don't even matter deem them to not be important and they're just going to use the tool instead. That's when you're doing something wrong.
Something like that happen in the writing world, where anthology publications like Clark's World, where many an aspiring sci-fi or fantasy author has gotten their start, are becoming so inundated with dogshit chat GPT stories that they've had to shut down new submissions altogether. The AI-generated stories being pumped out by hustle culture chumps looking for a new way to make a quick buck are nowhere near good enough to actually sell, but they are good enough that there's no effective way to automatically filter them from bad human writing, turning the average publisher's slush pile into a slush mountain that no new writers can reasonably climb. It's already starting to happen in animation, too. Less than a month ago, Netflix and Wit Studio put out this fugly, basic-ass anime short about a sad boy and his sad robot dog using almost entirely AI-generated background art, pitching it as a solution to the anime industry's labor shortage, which is shorthand for shortage of artists willing to work for peanuts. Thankfully, the piece didn't get that much attention, and the parts of the anime community which did see it roundly condemned both the blatant lies of its marketing and the confusing jumbles in its backgrounds, even after those human touch-ups. But that was only the first attempt.
That just means it's a bad project. It don't mean that the AI is shit. It don't mean that It's just an overall bad project. Because I'm looking at it right now. I'm looking at the background designs for it right now. It doesn't look appealing.
Shortage of artists willing to work for peanuts. Thankfully, the piece didn't get that much.
Or the animators probably, or the background artists probably just didn't like the idea. They didn't like how it looked. It doesn't look that good. It really doesn't.
The anime community which did see it roundly condemned both the blatant lies.
Yeah. This shit doesn't look that good at all. This shit looks like a children's book came to life. That's what it looks like. It doesn't look like it's supposed to be animated. It looks weird. But that's not the AI's fault. That's the people who's using the tools. And the artist probably didn't want to be a part of this thing in general. I wouldn't want to be a part of this. It's not something I'm interested in. I wouldn't want to work on this.
Of its marketing and the confusing jumbles in its backgrounds.
Yeah, so this looks terrible. The compositing is horrible. That's the people who tried to fix this behind the scenes fault. This looks terrible. There's no excuse that this should look like this. There is no excuse. You can clearly tell there's separate layers and shit. The fireball is on a different layer. The background mountain is a different layer. There's some compositing back here. They tried everything they possibly can. Every single one of these planes is copy and pasted. It just looks so artificial. It looks very, very artificial. So if you can stop this look, I wouldn't even want to be... My name wouldn't even be on this project with a 10-foot pole at all. I'll be so far away from this.
That was only the first attempt. If this keeps going, eventually some studio is going to put out an AI-assisted anime or cartoon that doesn't look like complete robot dog shit.
Then that means they did it correctly. They used the tool correctly. What is wrong with that? If nobody want to be a part of it, that's their choice. Cool. But if somebody's able to do that behind the scenes and get the job done and make it look presentable, I see nothing wrong with that. It doesn't intimidate me. It doesn't make me look like a shitty, like I'm down here because they were able to do that without hiring an artist, or they did have an artist, but they did little touch-ups and shit like that on it. It don't make me feel any type of way because my project is going to be my project. I don't care what somebody else is doing over here. They can do that all they want to. I'm going to use the technology how I want to use it.
And knowing what the broader anime fandom is willing to accept in terms of visual quality from the likes of One Punch Man Season 2 and Tokyo Revengers, it's entirely possible that studio will get away with it. And
I actually like One Punch Man Season 2, but it was just, he's right about that. The quality did diminish, but that's because of what is going on with Madhouse Studios. Madhouse Studios is being worked to death. So it's a studio issue. It's the studio issue, and it's the industry culture. The industry culture is fucked up. That's why I will never be a part of the industry. I would never want to work for one of those companies at all anymore. I used to when I was young and naive and shit, but I don't want to anymore because I know what that would do, and I would have signed up for it. If I was to sign that dotted line, it would be my fault.
If they save enough money on it, other studios will follow suit. New talents fresh out of school and looking for work will be the first hit by the impact that has on the industry, and that will likely discourage future generations of artists from pursuing their passions at all, exacerbating, not alleviating, the so-called shortage. By the time AI does become passable enough to replace an entire studio of artists, there may not be that many traditional animators left to replace. Now, an automation enthusiast might hear that and say, okay, if almost nobody's going to lose their job and future generations can train up on this new tech, what's the problem? Every form of art changes, but that's exactly the problem. Art should change as new generations of artists build on the work of their predecessors, and AI simply cannot do that. Computers can only copy and remix existing man-made art, and...
So how you fix that is you come up with a studio. No, how you fix that is you use it how I would use it. What I would do, and what I'm going to do, is I got points of references of all my work. I can train the AI how to do my work to where if I'm coming up with a project, I got 5 or 6 characters that I want to do maybe a spreadsheet of maybe 15 sheets of reference from them, right? Looking consistently in every single turn, pose, whatever, right? I got 15 points of reference. I feed that into the AI. Therefore, I trained it on my style and I trained it on the character on how I wanted to look at all angles, right? Keeping it consistent. That's how I would use it. That way it will cut my work in half. But I'm still the artist.
No matter how much we refine existing machine learning tech, unless they miraculously machine learn to feel and think organically, that will never change.
We don't need it to as long as we can. It's a machine. It's a tool. I don't expect a ruler to think. I don't need that. It's a fucking tool. I use it for what it's for. I don't understand this. I don't expect AI to think for itself. I expect it to do what I tell it to do and what I feed it. If I don't exist, AI has no point. So in order for it to adapt and grow, I have to grow myself. I have to learn different techniques. I have to learn how to use things a little bit better. And then the AI grows with me. We're like a companion piece. What I learn, I feed it to it. That way it'll be on par with me and it'll be able to do exactly what I do. If I have a new style that I want to implement into my stuff, I'm going to draw my new style a bunch of times. I'll be like, okay, it looks consistent enough. I got my skill up, so I'm going to put it into the AI so it can learn with me. Therefore, my projects are elevating and updating every single time I do something. That's how I see it.
The path laid out in Corridor's video leads to a future where there's no animation to watch but soulless AI clones of soulless AI clones of soulless AI clones of aging films and TV made decades or centuries ago, each one of those slowly being robbed of its impact and specialness by the inevitable endless recycling of its imagery and ideas. We're already living in a world where the striking look of Vampire Hunter D Bloodlust is a little less distinctive, about 5% less unique than it was a week ago if you go in terms of total runtime. Okay, if you cut out all the frames where their faces are melting or their hands have been fused into blocks of ham, it's like 0.5% at best, but still. And if the Corridor crew is right, that's just the beginning. So I really fucking hope they're not, but I think we all collectively need to do a lot more than hope. It's not enough to rely on the average person maintaining their standards and taste for art with heart in the face of the inevitable mass media marketing push for AI content. We need an active, aggressive counterculture that pushes back against this nonsense wherever it rears its ugly head. AI anime needs to become as dirty a word as NFT. As life itself, I am insulted, and so should you.
I'm not insulted at all.
To be clear, I don't think that we should count out the potential of this technology forever the way that we absolutely should with NFTs. There are countless ways that AI tools could be useful to actual animators and all other kinds of artists in the future. But so long as AI is being trained on the work of creators who never consented to that, so long as it's being used to...
Sound like that. See, he keeps bringing up this term, but that's because he's not being checked on it. I wish I was talking to him in real time because then this would be more effective because I'll just have to keep on reiterating the same thing because he keeps bringing this up. It's not taking anybody's work. It's being inspired. It's the same way how I look up images on Google or be on Instagram and I follow a bunch of people who I love their art styles and I just look at it, I'll be like, damn, I kind of want to do something like that. And then I try it myself. It's just like that. You think I need consent to be inspired off of somebody? I don't need consent at all. I put my images out there. It's public display for people to use. But to straight up copy my stuff and make a profit off it, that's when there's an issue. Where it's a one-to-one. Where the same image I posted is the same exact image you posted and you're making money off of it. That's when it's different and I don't fuck with that. This isn't stealing.
Cut artists out and deny them fair compensation and credit for their machine-laundered contributions to the art made with it, so long as its output is being passed off as man-made by grifters looking for a quick buck, we have no choice but to reject it wholesale. I'm not generally fond of...
No, just produce a better product. Produce a better product. I don't combat shit. I'm not combating nothing. I don't combat nothing at all. You know how I combat something? I show you that my way is better. I don't just go to you and be like, no, fuck you, you suck. I want to ban you, dox you, do all that type of shit. No, I don't do that. What I do to combat you is I show you what I do is better. My way is going to be better. It's as simple as that. You combat it by showing the industry that your way of doing things is better. And if people fuck with it, they fuck with it. And if they don't, I guess it's not. You're going to have to swallow that pill and get out your ego. That's the main thing that people like this who hold on to shit like that. Collectors, this is what I notice about collectors in general too. Collectors are very prideful of the things that they collect. And it's almost like it's a lifestyle thing for them too, to where they appreciate how the old things were and they like how things used to be because they consider that the foundation of what it should stay like. But they don't realize this too. People in the industry who actually do this shit for a living, we care. We like our stuff, but we're able to sell it off. I don't care if I ever see it again. I would do a couple projects and I'll be like, okay, ship that off and I'm going to just never see that again. And I'm fine with that. But collectors, no, you want to hold on and you want to cherish it because you care about how it was when it was done. As an artist, I don't care about how it was done. I care about how I do the next thing. I care about how I do the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. I care about constantly growing. Collectors and enthusiasts do not. They like how things are in the moment and how things are done right there. That's why they try to revitalize a bunch of old shit that the artists who made it don't really care about. We want to move on to the next thing. We want to move on to the next thing and keep on creating and creating and creating until we get better at doing what we do. Because that old thing that you probably immortalized, we probably don't even like. We probably, okay, we did that a long time ago. That's old. I want to do something new. What about my new shit? I care about my new stuff. I care about innovating and doing things differently. See, that's why it's hard to talk to people like him. Because he's like museum watchers. Museum people that go to the museum and try to find meaning in something that really doesn't have no meaning in it at all. And the artist was just like, yeah, I just did it because it was cool. I did it because I thought it looked nice. It was cool. You're looking too deep into it. We as artists want to move the fuck on. We want to do the next big thing.
I strongly believe that all forms of art benefit from being as accessible as possible to as many people who want to enjoy or create them as possible. But people is the operative word there. If we're not careful, robots and humans who think like them will rip the soul right out of our culture.
That's why you keep the soul there. That's why people still like the old Lion King shit compared to the new one. They tried to do it. They try to create a new version of Lion King that was so technologically advanced. It had all this mind-bending technology behind it to get the lions to look so realistic, the environments look realistic, and it still failed. You know why? Because the old one is genuinely better and everybody agrees with that too. That's how you win. You show that your way is better than the way that they're trying to present. That's how you win. You don't win by saying, no, this shit shouldn't even exist. No, let the competition exist. I want you to look bad so that I look good. I want you to have your chance. Speak. Please speak. Because then when I start speaking, it's going to look better. That's how you fucking win. You don't win by just shutting it down and by pretending like it doesn't exist. No, create something better. Innovate. Show them that your way is good.
I'm also not fond of ending videos on a purely negative note, so please let me suggest a good anime to you before you go. If the subject of AI's potential impact on art and other aspects of human society interests you, then I'd highly recommend checking out Carol and Tuesday.
I already seen it. It's one of my favorites.
The newest series from Cowboy Bebop creator Shinichiro Watanabe. It's actually set in the same universe as Cowboy Bebop, which makes it the closest thing to a sequel we're ever likely to get, and it came out all the way back in 2019, but I promise that you will be shocked by just how much it's already predicted about this whole debate. Unless you already know that Watanabe is one of the greatest living futurists, but in that case, I probably don't have to tell you to go watch it.
Yeah, so like what they did in Carol and Tuesday was, I forgot what I've been watching this so long, but I do remember that they was using a computer to create music to try to basically create an industry baby, right? An industry person who wasn't singing her songs from the heart. It wasn't something that she wrote. It was something written by a robot. And the point of the show was shit that's created by humans from the soul is actually never going to be overtaken by a computer that just creates shit based off of what the market is. Carol and Tuesday is proving my point. The point of the show is Carol and Tuesday is supposed to show the world that creating music from heart and soul with human instruments and when human talent is actually way better than the AI machine could ever be. So you just proved my point with the Carol and Tuesday reference. I don't know what she was trying to do there.
Of course, all of this is ultimately just my personal white-hot take on the subject of AI art and anime, so I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments down below. Especially if those thoughts relate in some way to Carol and Tuesday. I'm Jeff Thu.
Okay, I'm done with this. That was exhausting. But yeah, Jesus Christ. I said the same thing over and over and over again. This was exhausting. But I appreciate you guys for showing me this video. You know, for wanting me to want to break down this video and talk about it. I'm not sure, because I get so frustrated when it comes to people who don't do what I do for a living, and they try to understand it the best way they can, but they still miss the mark. They still miss the mark. I get what you're doing. You have good faith. You're probably a good person. You're probably a good dude and everything like that. You probably just, you know, you just want the best for the industry that you love and respect. I get it. But for people who actually do this shit for a living, thinks about it completely differently than you do. Way differently. Especially independent people like me. I think about it so much differently, to where I'm not even scared about this at all. I'm welcoming it. I want it to come. And I wanted to get better. I want to even dabble in it myself to try to figure out how I can get it to be a little bit better to work for me. That's perfect. I can't wait for that day to happen. So I'm going to be working on this like crazy. I'm actually working on it right now behind the scenes. I'm trying to tinker with it and figure out how to get it to, you know, memorize my style and do shit like that. I kind of want to see what I can come up with. Yeah, but I do appreciate this, guys. I do appreciate you wanting to hear my point of view. It means a lot. But if you guys got anything else that you want to ask me, please put it down in the comments. And if you guys want me to react to more shit, talk about other subjects and stuff like that, please do. I have no problem with it. I have no problem with telling you guys my points of view and stuff like that. Just let me know. Until then, I guess we up out of here. Jesus Christ.